Hey guys, happy Wednesday and welcome to Morning Joe with me, Jim. Back in the office early these days. I was not because my wife and daughter were in France, so I was taking care of the dog. Now I'm back because they're back and had a great time. So, hey, you may have heard if you're in the housing market and you're attuned to it, you may be seeing the same headlines that I'm seeing, which is foreclosures are up 150% year over year. And the housing market might be ready for a bust. And look, let's look at the real numbers though. Yeah, they're up 150% from a foreclosure moratorium. So if there were like none, and now there's some, well, the percentage increase is going to be very, very high. So let's take a look at it real quick, because before I look at the chart with you, look, I totally get it. Journalism largely has become all about clickbait, right? If you get more clicks, your journalistic outfit, your news outfit makes more money, right? Because you sell more ads and you have more eyeballs looking at it. I get it, and it's not all journalists. Some journalists are very good at what they do. They're very professional, but largely, it's become all about clickbait. And so let's take a look at this clickbait and see the foreclosures are up 150%. What does that actually mean in real numbers? So this is the I can't remember what this organization stands for, ATTOM, ATTOM, but they're in-depth looks at the housing market, real data. They look at real data behind lots of markets actually, but housing. So increased foreclosure activity in the first 6 months of 2022 approaches pre-COVID levels. So that's interesting. But look at this. Remember the housing crash, right? So people who write the articles, the headlines that say, is housing in a bubble? Well, what they're doing is alluding back to the housing crash. Well, let's look at that. In 2008, when the housing crash started, right, we had over 1.3 million foreclosures. And then it grew from there, right? Sometimes foreclosures take a while to happen to sort through the system. So it took a while. Then we went to 1.5 and 1.6 million. Well, look at where we are now. In 2021, remember, there was a moratorium on foreclosures. They weren't happening generally. Or for most of the year, they weren't happening. And so there were 65,000 compared to 1.6 million, 65,000. Now we have 10% of what we had back in 2010. It's threefold. It's up threefold. That's for sure. It's up 150%, but up to a level that is still below 2020, way below 2019, way below 2018, et cetera, et cetera. Will we see a bunch of foreclosures though? And that's the real question. If they're on the rise now, are we going to see a wave coming? Well, I can burst that bubble and say, no pun intended, but I can burst that bubble and say no. And the reason is lots of people have lots of equity in their homes. The average home in America, it's leveraged at 42%. In other words, their loan is 42% of the value of their home. That's the median, right? And so people have equity in their home. If they get into trouble, look, I don't want any foreclosure. Any foreclosure is too many. For a family to go through that is tragic. It's terrible. It's a horrible experience. I wish there were none. But the fact is, some people do get ill in an extended illness and can't work. Some people lose their job for an extended period of time, and other things happen, right? And so people do experience foreclosure, sadly. I wish it weren't. But most people, if they get into trouble, they've got a runway to where they know they can sell, and homes are still selling very, very, very quickly, right? If they're priced right, and they can recoup that part of that equity by simply selling. So is there a foreclosure wave coming? Well, yeah, we're up 150%, but we're well below 2019 levels even. So the answer is no. If you want a good deal on a house, there's good deals to be had on houses right now, because you're not going to get a 2010 deal, right? Where houses were down 30%, 25 to 30% from their heights. However, a good deal means if you're going to live in the house for a long time, yeah, it's going to keep on appreciating. And largely because people have equity and there's a supply imbalance, right? There's not enough homes to meet the demand. So I hope all that helps to put it in perspective. I know the clickbait headlines want to make it sound like everything's melting down. It simply is not. It's balancing out, which we needed, but it's a long, long, long way from melting down. And I don't see that happening. I hope that helps. If I can help you with a pre-approval today, I'd love to. It's Wednesday, hump day, as someone said coming up the elevator. And it's a good day. Love to help you get pre-approved. Just reach out. We'll get started today.